Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we are going to take a look at the numerology of Pluto dipping into Aquarius from March 23rd, 2023, through June 2023. Now, I know that, there's plenty of resources out there that address this and what to expect, but I wanted to, again, sort of look at the energy with the numerology because I find it kind of interesting what's being highlighted. So I want to share that with you, and then I will also break it down for each life path number so that you can kind of understand what you might expect on a more sort of concentrated personal level with these energies. So Pluto's stay in Aquarius for the next couple of months anyway will give us a taste of what we may further expect or what might be highlighted when Pluto ingresses into Aquarius for its more lengthy stay of 20 plus years, which will begin March 2024. So this sort of grand entrance on March 23rd, 2023, highlights the energies of the 15-6 collectively. So we'll all feel this influence to some degree, even if it's more subtle. Because again, this is a lengthy stay. Pluto moves very, very slowly. And so the effects are not typically felt right out of the gate, although sometimes it can be. But a lot of times it's more progressive, right? But we will all feel this change and transformation because Pluto signifies death, transformation, rebirth, right? So whatever it touches, it's going to transform in some significant way. And so in the case of numerology, it's touching or highlighting the energies of the 15-6. So when we look at or break down the energies of the 15-6, we have the energies of the 1, the 5, and the 6. So the 1 is going to bring into focus independence, autonomy, self, the power back to the individual, right? Transformation, change in, again, shifting the power back to the individual. Taking responsibility for our own life and the direction of it, right? Taking an initiative, being more assertive and more direct within our communication of what it is that we need and what we will or will not tolerate, right? What it is that we will sort of compromise on or not compromise on, and what we won't sacrifice for when it comes to what we need in order to thrive. The 1 energy is going to influence or sort of bring into focus stepping outside of our comfort zone, taking appropriate risks to create a better way of doing things, not just for self necessarily, but for the good of all. So being assertive, taking those risks, taking the initiative, again, to come up with resources, solutions for the greater community. The 1 energy can emphasize confidence in finding our voice and using it. Less control from the external or not accepting control from the external, and bringing the focus back to control within our own lives and our destination. We can see shifts around the 1 energy in how we own our own space and how we show up in the world, honoring our own unique identity and our own unique contributions. We'll be asked with this energy to take responsibility for those actions and take accountability for how our actions affect the all. Now, the 6 energy emphasizes emotions and how we work with those charged energies, taking responsibility for working with them and managing how we express them, using that energy for good rather than destruction and separation. Now, again, emotions are such a hot topic because people immediately, when you say control your emotions or manage your emotions, people immediately want to jump to suppression or avoidance. And that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is working with your emotions in a very healthy way so that you're not expressing them in a destructive way, right? You can work with, honor, acknowledge your emotions without sort of directing them or expressing them in a way that causes harm to self or others. So there may be more of an emphasis on emotions, where for so long, emotions for women, men, have been really sort of taboo and suppressed, right? For women, if you're emotional, you're hysterical, right? You're out of control and you're not taken seriously. For men in society, if they express emotions, they are weak, right? And of course, I'm not talking about like anger and that sort of thing. For whatever reason, we've become a society that respects expressing anger and violence and all those things. And so I think there's probably going to be a shift where we start respecting having greater control and management of those emotions rather than letting the emotions control us, right? It's so much healthier for self and others when we can manage and work with that very charged energy in a healthy way. And the 6 energy being highlighted puts emphasis on that. I expect there to be, with this 6 energy, more emphasis on the energy of the divine feminine. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, or feminine energy, masculine energy. This has nothing to do with gender. This is the energy, right? How we express that energy. So keep that in mind as we move through this. I know that if you listen to my channel, you already are aware of that, but I'm just putting that out there. So with the 6, I do expect to see a greater emphasis on the energy of the feminine. So more receptivity, more compassion, more empathy, less focus on striving, and more focus on work-life balance. Because right now, there's definitely an imbalance there. It's more about, how much you can do and how often and what your success rate is and all of those things. There's much more emphasis on the end goal and striving to get there. And I think there will be a shift there where, in one way or another, the focus sort of balances out and we start looking at, again, that work-life balance, the sort of honoring the holistic need for rest and rejuvenation, more balance and harmony rather than separation and man-made boundaries, right? So we may see less borders and more unity, figuratively speaking, but also literally. We might see sort of borders between countries open up and get less sort of strict or rigid, where it's much easier to cross borders and, experience different cultures and experience living in another country without major restrictions type thing. And so much less about, this is like ownership, like this is mine, so you can't have it type thing, right? And it's like, more openness when it comes to, just resources and, again, sharing wisdom and knowledge and all of these things that to some degree do have a level of restriction, right? There's definitely very strong man-made boundaries, whether you agree with it or not, that separate countries, right? Individuals, peoples, community, etc. And I think that with the emphasis on the 6, there's going to be much more about the greater community. So a greater coming together. So lessening of those borders. Again, whether you like it or not, this is the energy that's being highlighted. And so again, it will hopefully, or at least the goal of the energy would be, of the 6, right? is to bring people together, to work together more and be less divided. And so that brings into focus man-made boundaries and alleviating them or lessening them in some way to, again, find balance. I believe under the sixth energy, we'll see a deeper understanding of the needs of others. And again, the greater community, taking into account other perspectives, other ideas. This is a big one. And this is something that we're not very good at. We try to be, but it's definitely something that needs to come into balance, right? And I think the energy of this, Pluto highlighting this sixth energy is going to bring that into the focus. Now, the 5 brings the change, brings the transformation, brings the unconventional ideas. And so one of those things would be like if you felt sort of some kind of emotional charge about me talking about man-made boundaries and, countries opening their borders more and being a little bit more open with that. This is an unconventional idea, right? I mean, other people have had it, obviously, but it's like one of those things where it's outside the box. It's outside the norm. It's outside of the way that we've always done things. And so the 5 energy is going to ask us to think differently, to do differently, come up with those unconventional ideas and then do something with them to assist in merging the energies of the 1, which is more masculine energy of action, self-giving, with the more feminine energies of the 6, receptivity, stillness, compassion. Pluto in Aquarius has the potential over the next 20 plus years to lessen the gap between the divine feminine energies and the divine masculine energies, to create greater balance and harmony in how we honor self and how we honor others in a more elevated way. So we hear a lot of people talking about the rise of the divine feminine, and really what the potential is that the focus or the emphasis on the masculine energy will start to lessen as the feminine energies begin to rise, and they will meet somewhere in the middle, right? Balancing those energies, because if we have too much of either, it's imbalance, it's disharmony. And so the goal, and Pluto is always, the goal of Pluto is to come in, dismantle, and then force rebuilding of something for it to become more spiritually elevated, to step into a higher octave, right? So where there is imbalance, Pluto will come in and sort of rip it apart, break it back down to its core, and force us to rebuild in some way. But the goal, though it can be challenging when we're in it, is to get us to collectively a higher octave, right? A higher consciousness, an elevated state of being. So it completely makes sense, given the imbalance between the feminine and the masculine energies, that Pluto would come in and put a focus on this in the age of Aquarius, which again is unconventional thinking, doing things differently, taking into consideration self and all. So big energies that we're working with here for the next 20 plus years. And I will say that change does not happen without resistance. So we can expect, with 5 energy, we can expect the unexpected. When it comes to those not ready or willing to meet in the middle, some people do thrive off of separation and won't give in easily. But Pluto is a relentless energy, and so is the energy of the 5. So though it will probably, likely be slow and progressive and not without chaos and conflict, when, this transit is over, we'll likely see greater balancing of these energies collectively than we have ever seen, in thousands and thousands of years throughout history. I certainly hope so anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how these energies may affect each life path number. Life path number 6. So for you all, the next 20 some years is going to bring an emphasis to the energies of the 12-3. So a lot here about communication, having those deeper conversations, expressing yourself in a way that feels very authentic for you. The focus is really going to come into, again, sort of stepping into your own power when it comes to expressing yourself. So if there's any area of life where you felt like you couldn't say what you need or ask for assistance or set a healthy boundary or any of those things, right? Anything that's sort of muted your voice, right? I think you're going to see over the next 20 years where you're put in positions where you will have to express yourself, where you will have to stand up for yourself and say what you need without allowing that energy to build up and get, the frustration to build and the resentment to build or the feeling of being stuck to build. So this is absolutely a period for you to find your voice and use it. And in a way, of course, you're 6, so of course it's going to be nurturing and loving and all those things. But Pluto helps us to be a little bit more assertive, helps us to be a little bit less concerned about, ruffling people's feathers because they don't like or they don't feel comfortable with our needs, right? This energy of the 12-3 is really helping you all to own your space and not apologize for taking up space, right? 6s are so sort of used to doing for others, caring for others, being in service or assisting others in such a deep way that when you do something that kind of goes against that, you really kind of beat yourself up, right? And then again, I'm speaking to the energy. And so the 3 is big energy. 3 energy owns its space. Like it's big, it's there, you're going to acknowledge it. And a lot of times 6s will sort of make themselves small to not make others uncomfortable, right? Because the whole sort of keynote of 6 energy is helping others to feel comfortable and happy and secure and all those things, right? But sometimes 6s can take it to the extreme of self-sacrifice, which leads to resentment, right? Which leads to feeling like you don't have any power in the situation. And so the 3 energy and Pluto are absolutely here to remind you, you have a voice, it's your responsibility to use it, with integrity, obviously. And in doing so, you're actually stepping more into your 6 energy, because when you're giving something that you don't have, you're not helping yourself or others. But when you're able to speak up for what you need, then you're coming from a place of your own cup being full, right? Not to sound cliche, but it's true. And so if you feel like you're being taken advantage of in a situation, it's because you're allowing yourself to be, and you need to express your needs, right? If you're in a situation that's abusive or that's overpowering, then you need to use your voice to seek help or seek a way out of whatever that is, instead of internalizing it and trying to come up with a solution all alone. So this is a potentially very empowering period for 6s, right? Finding a way to really honor thyself and, express yourself in a way that's empowering, while also meeting the sort of requirements of the 6 energy. So this can help you to really get in balance with your 6 energy and to really feel in balance in your own life, to where you get to a point where you're saying yes when it makes sense, when it's coming from your heart center. It's saying yes from a space of gratitude for the opportunity to be able to do whatever it is that you're being asked to do, as opposed to saying yes out of obligation and then doing so and feeling resentment and regret around doing that, or burdened, right? So This absolutely has the potential to be a very empowering period for sixes if you choose to use it, right? It's going to help you because you've got the energy of the 12, the 1, self, 2, relations, relating to others, together with the 3, communication, creativity. So this is a beautiful sort of period to find your place in honoring self and honoring others and communicating your needs and asking for help when you need it and all of those things, right? So potentially very powerful period for sixes. But again, the energy can be there. You've got to do something with it. And Pluto will probably make sure of that. Pluto is pretty relentless. So I hope it's a beautiful period for you all. Take care, sixes. Bye for now.